When talking about the essence of God, Ibn Arabi states that God or al-Haq cannot be equated with anything. In this regard, there is nothing one can say except negating the attributes of all creatures originating from al-Haq. This stage was internal silence, nothing could be understood or observed. The self-manifestation of the absolute Tajalli had not yet taken place. At this stage of the internal silence, there was not any movement to depict. In a completely negative state, the Tajalli of the absolute mystery or al-Haq had not yet taken place. The Tajalli of the absolute mystery began to take place at a later stage. According to Ibn Arabi, there was a desire in al-Haq in order to be known by others. Ibn Arabi explains that al-Haq is not forever unrecognizable. At a certain point, al-Haq also introduces himself to others, and that happens because in himself there is a will to be seen, recognized, and known by others. This recognition occurs in what Ibn Arabi terms Tajalli. Tajalli means manifestation, theophany, disclosure, opening, openness, revelation, epiphany, radiation, exposure. These different meanings show that Tajalli is an act of revealing the mysterious one, unknown to others. The conception of Tajalli is closely related to the conception of wujud. Some scholars even mention this conception to be the essence of wahdatul wujud itself. In this context, the connection is mainly due to the relationship between the nature of negativity in al-Haq on the one hand, and which inevitably presupposes the nature of positivity on the other hand. As a beginning, there is a hadith Qudsi that mystics or Sufis ruminate on tirelessly. That is when God reveals the secrets of suffering, pathos. I was a hidden treasure and I loved to be known. So I created the creation in order to be known. In the thoughts of Ibn Arabi, this hadith can be translated into in order to become objects of my knowledge within them. When al-Haq creates something, he does it based on his knowledge of that thing and he knows it through himself, his own knowledge. His knowledge has no effect on what he knows. This pathos, grief of God, the desire to reveal himself and to know himself in existence through the forms known by them, is the underlying theme of the entire divine dramaturgy, the eternal cosmogony. This cosmogony is not an emanation in the Neoplatonic sense, and moreover not a creatio ex nihilo. It is rather an alternation of manifestations of existence that is brought about by a diffused light, which is originally in an unknown God, which then takes place, and in the alternation of tajalliyat, manifestations, the alternation of theophanies. Tajalli arises because of God's longing to be recognized by his creatures, a longing that is expressed from the word al-ilah, which is rooted from Arabic wa'ulamha, which means deep sadness, a pathos, grief in him so alone, unrecognizable, and isolated in his solitude. Because of these feelings and vibrations that were indescribable in himself, then he revealed himself to others, his creatures and his servant. This Tajalli motion, which according to Ibn Arabi occurs continuously and constantly, forever and will always exist, is often associated by Ibn Arabi with light, nur, which illuminates and manifests the existence of everything. Like light, the Tajalli of al-Haq makes al-Mawjudat, the existence, visible and known that they exist. So if the existence or al-Mawjudat didn't exist, by the light of him, al-Wujud, the existence came into being. Because of the light of al-Wujud, ontologically, two fundamental things take place. The emergence of existence, al-Wujud, from absolute nothingness, and the manifestation of all that previously existed but had not been revealed become visible and can be seen. So Tajalli can mean bringing something out of nothing into existence, or revealing something that had existed but was still hidden to become visible and clear. The deep sadness of the primordial loneliness made al-Haq long to be revealed in the form of creatures that would manifest himself just as he manifested himself for them. This phase is described as the sorrow of the divine names that experience suffering in unknown state, and it is this sadness that descends in the form of the divine breath, tanafus, in the form of mercy, rahmah, and existence, ijad, and which in the realm of mystery is a love of the divine being by and for al-Haq itself. It asks for his own names, or in other words, it is love that determines its origin. Its first occurrence implies a passionate movement of passion, haroka shaukiya, in the form of love. This passionate desire is appeased by the divine breath. Ibn Arabi cites two hadiths as sources for the expression Nafas ar-Rahman, the breath of All-Merciful. Do not curse the wind, for it derives from the breath of the All-Merciful. And the second hadith, I found the breath of the All-Merciful coming to me from the direction of Yemen. Ibn Arabi explains that the term nafas refers to the type of tanfis, a word from the same root as nafas, which means to blow, to cheer up, to comfort, to remove sorrow, to relieve. In the first hadith, the Prophet refers to the fact that wind is one of the means used by God to please and comfort his servant, and in the second hadith, to comfort some of his companions in the face of challenges from their relatives in his prophetic mission. Ibn Arabi compares the breath of the All-Merciful with the human breath in giving an analogy of a creative process. Each characteristic of the breath becomes the starting point for the exposition of the dimension of the relationship between God and creatures. Thus, the breath is a steam, releasing fatigue in breathing and exhaling words. In the same way, the breath of the All-Merciful is the cloud, Amma, liberating the confines of eternal entities or God's names, which manifest themselves through outward appearances, and moving his words or his name, that is creatures, because each creature is a word of al-Haq. Within the cloud, the cosmos in totality takes shape. The cloud is the absolute imagination, for it gives shape to all creatures. Every form becomes real in it. Although Ibn Arabi often states that the cloud is identical with the breath of the All-Merciful, Nafas ar-Rahmani, but sometimes he distinguishes between the two and says that the cloud comes into being through the breath. His creatures springs not from nothing, also not from something different from himself, and not from something he is not, but from his fundamental being, from his hidden potentiality and virtuality hidden in his own being. In essence, the creation is the disclosure of God's being, first of all to himself, luminescence that occurs within him. The creation is the appearance of God, theophany or Tajalli ilahi. There is no concept of creation ex nihilo here. The divine breath exhales what Ibn Arabi calls an-nafas ar-Rahmani, or the breath of the All-Merciful, that is, the breath of creating love. This breath produces the entire subtle primordial mass of existence termed the cloud, Amma. This cloud, which was exhaled by al-Haq, in which al-Haq was, took form and at the same time gave forms to creatures. This cloud is both active and passive, receiving and providing, or muhakkik, through which a distinction emerged in the primordial reality of existence, hakikatul wujud. That is the absolute in essence, al-Haq fi dhati. Thus, this is the absolute imagination without limits, al-Khayal al-Mutlaq. That was the first theophanic act by which the divine being revealed himself, showed himself to himself by distinguishing himself from himself in the hidden being. With the abundance of light Tajalli, then appeared the various forms of the universe, which is the locus matula of ongoing Tajalli. These loci of Tajalli are called by Ibn Arabi entities, al-A'yan, appearances, al-Madhahir, forms, al-Suwar, images, al-Amthal, traces, al-Athar, types, al-Ajnas, places, al-Muwatin, forms, al-Anwa, organisms, al-Nash'at, symbols, al-Rumuz, or states, al-Ahwal. With the appearance of these loci, there is plurality and diversity in wujud, being. The appearance of these loci is correlated with the emergence of differences, uniqueness, plurality, differentiation, diversity, and multiplicity in al-Wujud. However, al-Haq in himself, as the absolute being, cannot be compared and equated with everything existent. Nonetheless, al-Haq makes himself manifest in the cosmos, and on this side, al-Haq or God is similar to all creatures, since the cosmos is the self-disclosure or self-manifestation, Tajalli, of al-Haq in the locus of his manifestation. Regarding differences, uniqueness, plurality, and so on, all of those are shown in the differences in the 19 names of al-Haq, Asma'ul Husna. In truth, the names of God are identical with himself. When al-Haq said, "I was the hidden treasure," then the names were latent in al-Haq. The names represent all the qualities belonging to the absolute reality. Notwithstanding, within the absolute reality itself, the names have no differences from the absolute reality. Surprisingly, when the cosmos appears, the name reveals variously particular characteristics. Within al-Haq, the names are indistinguishable, ijmal, while in the cosmos, the attributes of the various names appear in differentiated forms, tafsil. The names of al-Haq reflect the differences, uniqueness, plurality, differentiation, diversity, and multiplicity of the relations of al-Haq with his creatures, or the relations of al-Wujud with al-Mawjud. It should be noted that the existence of al-Haq is one in himself, but manifested into various forms through his self-manifestation or tajalli. In other words, being or wujud is attributed to al-Haq in relation to his equality. In the first case, God's essence is incomprehensible and inaccessible. It is the supreme being manifesting through himself. In the second case, al-Haq reveals himself through formal existence. It is Nafas ar-Rahmani, the breath of the All-Merciful, that absorbs all beings in the cosmos. Each name is a description, a symbol of al-Haq that allows him to be understood, in this context, by creatures. With those names, the mysterious, negative, the hidden wujud opens the possibility to be understood, recognized, accessed, approached, known, expressed, imaged, described, symbolized, metaphorized, likened, imagined, named, thought about, in other words, to be positive. In this context, al-Wujud is associated by Ibn Arabi with tashbih, which refers to the possibility of resembling him with others through images, symbolic or epistemic constructions, which are arranged by creatures, so that al-Haq can be understood, recognized, accessed, approached, and so on. Because of tashbih, wahdat becomes kathra, difference, plurality, multiplicity. The one, al-Wahid, becomes many, al-Kathir, and solitude, al-Infirad, becomes plurality, at-ta'addud. The root of God's likeness rests on the barzakh, literally isthmuses, in which God reveals himself. Barzakh is something that stands between and separates two other things, but combines the attributes of both, or usually regarded as the imaginal realm. Ibn Arabi uses the term barzakh to indicate that the essence of God's self-manifestation is an intermediary between two realities, the absolute being and the non-existent. Barzakh is the cloud. Al-Haq was in it before creating. The cloud was between Al-Haq and the cosmos. Al-Haq is neither one nor the other, neither both nor the other. Al-Haq in himself is independent of all the attributes of creatures, while the creatures cling to the names of God. If we look at the idea of the positivity of al-Haq, it is final and irresistible that al-Haq can be thought about or perceived. However, what is very significant is the fact that al-Haq as the Absolute was willing to manifest itself, with the result that the Absolute can be approached and perceived. The positivity of al-Haq can simultaneously be said to be the experiential witnessing in the concept of wahdatul wujud. The Sufis have an astonishing composition of Tawhid if it is viewed from mainstream perspective. Tawhid of the Sufis is not like Tawhid of the lay in the context of Sharia and theological discourse, but it is a version to affirm the One and negate anything other than the One. In respect to Sufistic Tawhid, Wahdatul Wujud is sometimes also identified with the doctrine of Tawhid of the Sufis. This Tawhid carries the connotation of oneness, unification, unity between the lover and the beloved, or al-Haq. The completely anonymous and negative divinity of God, al-Uluhiyah, becomes the recognized divinity, al-Rububiyah. In this case, the creatures can also be referred to as al-Wujud or al-Haq, as well as God. Ibn Arabi, for example, said, Al-Insan Qalbul Wujud. Human being is the heart of al-Wujud. Or in a passage of his poetry, Fa'anta Abdun wa anta Rabbun. You are servants and you are Lord. In this condition, humans are positioned parallel to God, because for Ibn Arabi, human beings are created in the image of God. Thus, in this context, human being can know God and God can be known by human being. According to Ibn Arabi, humans with their reason cannot know themselves as appearances of al-Haq. Reason cannot see other than its own form and function. Humans with their reasons don't know or don't see al-Haq, and it is impossible to see al-Haq even though actually they really know al-Haq. That's why, according to Ibn Arabi, the knowledge obtained by reason is not perfect, because it is only able to reach the empirical level, cannot reach knowledge beyond that. The knowledge of God reached by reason is negative knowledge, seeing God from one side, not from a whole. Thus, according to Ibn Arabi, reason must be equipped with other faculties in human being which exist within the heart and soul. These faculties help humans see God as a whole. In the Quran, God is the first, the last, the outward, and the inward. Ibn Arabi took this verse literally without trying to explain it further. This means that what is seen or whatever phenomena appear before the eyes is nothing but God. God is visible before our eyes, as stated in the Quran, wherever you turn, there is the face of God. This verse indicates an aspect of tashbih, the similarity of God, which is parallel to the concept that God is the visible. But on the other hand, the Quran mentions that sight cannot reach God. Ibn Arabi differs from other Sufis who place God as the essence of reality that manifests itself in the form of nature. All of God's creatures in this world are the appearance of God itself. He is called the one who appears in all understanding, and He is the infinite of all understanding, except according to the opinion of those who think that this world is the form of God and the oneness of God, He is the outward. Seen from the other side, He is also the spirit of every visible, so He is the inward. I'll see you on the comment.